Finally, this year of 2018 is over. No more Fortnite dances, no more kids eating Tide Pods. We can move on to a fresh new year, and 2019 is going to be my year. It's going to be the best year ever. Finally, 2017 is over. We can get rid of the fidget spinners. We can stop drinking unicorn frappuccinos, and we can move on to a fresh new year because 2018 is going to be the best year ever. Nothing bad is going to happen. It's going to finally be my year. Let's give it up for the Game of the Year awards, the important ones, the ones starring Wigwam. I mean, we're smaller, but we're better. This year's games had pretty much everything gamers love. We had reboots and sequels and licensed games, and if you were looking for original games, well, there were a couple indie titles too. This year gave us a lot of amazing games. We had Spider-Man, we had God of War, we had a new Smash Bros. Ultimate game, and if you own an Xbox, I think you got to play Red Dead Redemption 2, right? You guys got that one, didn't you? What else? Ooh, Sea of Thieves. That game eventually was patched into being passable, so give it up for Xbox. Still hanging in there. 2018 had a little something for everybody, but we're gonna get into the awards now. Presenting our first award for the night is Music Wigwam. I'll pass it over to him. Hey, I'm Music Wigwam, you can tell, because I have this musical instrument. Soundtracks are important to games and stuff. Here's the games and stuff with the best ones. Celeste. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Red Dead Redemption 2. Donut County. And the winner for Best Soundtrack is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Giving this award to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate almost feels like rewarding cheating. It's a game whose soundtrack is made up of around 850 remixes of classic video game tracks. It's got music that spans not just different franchises, but different platforms and even different generations. But when you purely just look at it as which game has the most bang for your buck music-wise, it is undeniably Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Other games this year did wonderful things with their music to enhance their story and aesthetics, and some soundtracks are just filled with wonderful songs that transcend the games themselves and are just genuinely enjoyable to listen to, but all are dwarfed in scale to this monster of a game. With all the focus on the number of playable characters and tweaks to gameplay, it's easy to see how this banging soundtrack got mostly ignored, but it's definitely the best of the year. It's basically a greatest hits album of not just Nintendo games, but of every game represented in the series, and what other soundtrack could hope to compete with that? Smash Ultimate, more like Ultimate Smash Hits music game. Yes. Yes. Visuals are being taken more and more seriously these days in video games. While some games go for striking realism, others just go for a unique artistic style. But which of the two will take this year's Best Visuals Award? The nominees for Best Visuals are Dead Cells, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Sure, we can have fun.
Dragon Ball FighterZ. And the winner for best visuals is Red Dead Redemption 2. I haven't gotten to take the deep dive into Red Dead Redemption 2 quite yet, but you don't even need to spend too much time in this world to see how visually striking it is. The PS4 screen capture function was made for games like this. Sweeping plains, snow-covered mountains, and gorgeous sunsets. Everywhere you look, there is some sort of new, grandiose landmark that just stops you in your tracks. But it's not just the larger scale beauty of the game, it's also the way that sunlight comes filtering through the trees and it's just truly magical, the way that clouds are reflected in lakes. It's also the soft warm glow that the campfires give off. Hell, if you could play this game in VR, it would basically make camping and hiking or even going outside completely irrelevant. A great story gives players the emotional investment that raises the action moments to importance, that gives us that sense of suspense and pushes us to see the hero's journey through to the very end. This year's nominees for Best Story are Spider-Man.
Remember, he said not to kill him. Good idea. In fact, we don't have to do this at all if you don't want to.
We definitely want to.
God of War.
Open the door! We need your help!
This is no ordinary illness. The boy's true nature, your true nature, fights within him.
Celeste. Iconoclast. And the winner for Best Story goes to God of War. From the very first axe swing, I was pulled into the story of Kratos, and boy, I was completely new to the God of War series, and due to that I almost didn't even play this game. But the reviews were so overwhelmingly positive, and this reboot just seemed like the perfect chance to jump into the game, and man, I am so glad I did. God of War sets out to tell one tight and compelling story that wonderfully unfolds at the perfect pace. Few games have nailed the feel of such a well-paced and impactful story as God of War. The characters we meet along the way, the twists and turns that the story takes, the feeling of suspense as some over-the-top action sequences are unfolding, all leave a lasting impression on you, and one that I was not expecting from a game that I had thought was just an indulgence in hyper-violence. But where this game succeeds the most is in its subtleties. Balancing the meaningful relationship between Kratos and his son without altering or going against Kratos' character is a very fine line to walk. It's easy to slip in a highly emotional moment after some intense action sequence, but the little moments of Kratos sharing a story with his son as they paddle their boat to the next destination, or when Kratos congratulates Atreus on improving in combat or knowing something he doesn't, that is where the father and son bond truly comes to life. And that relationship is what made this story really shine. Now the next category is one that might not be on a lot of people's best of the year list, but it's one that's very important to me. It's one of my favorite aspects of game. It's the competitive aspect of games. They're games that are hard to judge against other games because their sole purpose is to get better and beat other people, to play against your friends and to prove that you're the better gamer. So here to present the award for best competitive game is Overly Competitive Wigwam. What's up, people? I'm Overly Competitive Wigwam. I've broken a bunch of these this year and probably gonna keep doing it too. Here are the games that ate up the most of my free time and drove me crazy because they're the best competitive games of 2018. Fortnite. Dragon Ball FighterZ. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
You give us the fire, we'll give them hell.
And the winner of Best Competitive Game goes to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That's backwards. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. A good competitive game should be accessible to new players while also having a high enough skill ceiling to keep players coming back. No game nails this more than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Smash is of course the fighting game series that gamers of all ages can jump in and enjoy. From the timed free-for-all with items on to the intense try-hard 1v1me Final Destination Fox only players, Smash can be played however you want. And finally, with savable rule sets, it seems Nintendo is embracing this fact. Smash has had an odd relationship with esports over the years. Much like online play, it just seems to be one of those things that Nintendo just doesn't understand. Ever since Melee took off in popularity, Nintendo has tried to distance itself from these pro-level competitive tournaments. They added tripping and brawl, they slowed down Smash 4, and at numerous times tried to stop Melee from even being allowed to be broadcasted. This seems like the mindsets may be shifting though, as Ultimate is feeling like the tightest and most competitive mechanics we've had to play since Melee. While I would personally say this game is about 70% Smash 4 and maybe 30% Melee, it's a good mix, and one that's fun and probably the best we'll ever get from Nintendo. At the end of the day though, Smash Ultimate is great for players of all skill level, whether you're aspiring to be the next pro or you just want to beat up your little brother in a video game. Smash Ultimate has you covered. So here on the Wigwam channel, we gotta look out for the little guys, being kind of a little guys ourselves. So we're gonna make an award for the most underrated game, but since this is kind of a hipster category, I thought I'd give it over to Hipster Wigwam, who I'm now seeing just looks like normal me. Alright, very funny guys. Hey guys, what's up? It's Wigwam in my secret, cool, not a coffee shop place. It looks like a coffee shop, but I've already said too much. These are the most underrated games of this year, but don't tell anybody about them, because you ruin it. Dandara. Time Spinner.
I will bend time to my will and hunt them down throughout history.
Wander Song. The Darwin Project.
Gamers of the world, tell me what to do. Who is worthy? Vote now!
And the winner is Dandara. Dandara was a totally unique platformer Metroidvania experience that seemed to slip completely under the radar. It had everything I love in an indie game: creative gameplay, great pixel art, and a unique story. Dandara managed to combine a lot of gameplay mechanics that I loved, but what set it apart the most was its unique style of movement. Bouncing around the stage from wall to ceiling felt fun and challenged you to think about how you navigate the world in new ways. It was unlike anything I'd ever played before, and learning to master it felt extremely rewarding. It's always worth recognizing games like this, because we need new and unique ideas to keep games alive. And while all the nominees in this category are worth checking out, Dandara does the most to set itself apart from the crowd. For more information on Dandara, I do have a video about it, but enough of me sponsoring my own videos. We gotta take a quick break from the awards from our sponsors to keep this production going. You know, this shit ain't free. It actually is, though. When we come back, we present the awards for Best Gameplay and Game of the Year. And also, maybe Wigwam gets naked if you're into that, or maybe not if you're not into that. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, stay tuned. Has this ever happened to you? You have to leave your house, but you want to bring your video games. Ah, nuts! I forgot about cords! Then try our new service, Game Buddy. For just $19.95 an hour, you can hire your very own Game Buddy. With our patented gaming system and a backpack technology, one of our specialists will follow you around and allow you to play games for as long as your credit card allows. What about my Nintendo Switch? Hey, what about shut up? Does the Switch play Red Dead Redemption? No. Got a war? No. That's right, bitch. Call 1-800-I'm-a-sucker right now to get your very own game buddy. That's 1-800-I'm-a-sucker. He's not just a helper, he's a buddy.
Game buddies are not actually a companion. Game buddies are not obligated to be your friend. Game buddies are legally not slaves or indentured servants. They're a totally legal form of unpaid internship labor. Please do not leave the game buddy alone in your house with any pets or make direct eye contact. Game Buddy Incorporated is not responsible for any of Game Buddy's actions. Please use your mom's credit card responsibly.
All right, everybody, give them your money. That's a good product right there. So, we're getting towards the end of our award ceremony. There's only 2 awards left to give. Before the coveted Game of the Year award, though, we have Best Gameplay. Out of all the individual categories, no category is more important than gameplay. These are video games after all, and while you can have an amazing story and music and visuals, if the gameplay isn't fun, we won't see any of them because we won't want to pick up your game. So this year's nominees for Best Gameplay are going to Spider-Man.
Patterson. Spider-Man treats New York City as his own personal playground. Just yesterday, I saw him doing backflips and 360s. Disgraceful. Running walk.
God of War. Celeste.
Combining action,
Red Dead Redemption 2.
storytelling,
We need to get those people warm and fed.
and gameplay in new ways. As you live, ride, and fight to survive as an outlaw in a notorious gang.
As long as we get paid or you get shot, I'm happy.
And the winner is Spider-Man. Spider-Man's gameplay was so true to the experience of feeling like Spider-Man that it became a meme. But like my mom always used to say, there's a grain of truth behind every meme. Spider-Man was a game loaded with repetitive enemy encounters and uninspired side missions that we've seen a million times. But none of that mattered because the web slinging and bad guy punching just kept us playing. Even with the occasional lag in gameplay from being forced to play as Miles or Mary Jane in a stealth mission, the second you got back to swinging across New York, none of that mattered. This game could have just been taking selfies in New York and I would have still named it Best Gameplay of the Year. The movement is just so fluid and smooth, and it makes fast travel completely irrelevant because why would you want to miss a second of web slinging? It's been a long time since Spidey was done justice, and this game proves the best way to make a Spider-Man game is just let Spider-Man be Spider-Man in an open world. And finally, the award that made you sit through all the other awards, the one that everybody cares about the most, Game of the Year. We went over a lot of individual aspects of games, but which game combined them all together to make the best overall experience? Here are the nominees for my Game of the Year. Celeste. God of War.
Find your way home. You are free.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Spider-Man.
Peter, it's time to get up.
And the winner is Celeste. I didn't have a physical copy of Celeste. I own it on Steam, so. Yes, Celeste is my Game of the Year pick. I had a strong feeling way back in January that this could potentially be my Game of the Year, and 11 months later, my opinion on it hasn't changed. There were so many good games this year that excelled in so many different ways, but Celeste was a total package. No game is ever totally perfect, but to me, Celeste is as close as it could possibly get. Tight gameplay mechanics that feel rewarding yet challenging to master. a soundtrack that's worth listening to on its own, and a nuanced story about how accepting and dealing with your insecurities can bring you to new heights. All of these things just propel this game above the competition. I just kept wanting to play more and more Celeste, and lucky for me, there was always seemingly more to play. This game is pretty much the best post-game content I have ever seen. After you beat the main storyline, you can go back and start collecting strawberries and hidden tapes. Hidden tapes will unlock new and far more challenging levels. The second round of levels leads to an entirely third section of levels, which is even harder. And on top of that, even at the end of the second round of worlds, I was still being introduced to new gameplay mechanics. Not mechanics that hadn't existed before, but just mechanics that were advanced enough techniques that I had not come across them naturally. That's just how deep the gameplay in Celeste is. And with the incredibly well thought out assist modes, you can play this game at any skill level, from mind-numbingly difficult to completely casual. Celeste is a game that can absolutely be enjoyed by anyone who has ever enjoyed video games. And those were the best games that I played this year. What were the best games that you played this year? Let me know down below in the comments. I'll go read them as I get played off the stage.